Hello, I'm Coach John Shepherd, and in this video I'm going to answer a couple of questions that have been received in regard to the "Do you know what type of jumper you are?" video, which was on the channel quite recently. Okay, the first question comes from Juan Eduardo McKenna, and he also relates his query to another video that I did on long jump speed and how relevant your 100-meter time is to jump distance. Now he says that he jumps particularly far given that he's got a slow 100-meter time or slowish 100-meter time compared to his long jump, and also that he runs out of gas, as he puts it, in the final stages of the 100 meters. Also, he notes that his first jump is invariably his best jump of a competition, and he's asking what type of jumper does that make him. Well, it also potentially reflects on the type of training that he's doing. If he's running out of gas towards the latter part of 100 meters, that obviously means that his sprint endurance isn't up to the task, so he would need to increase his ability to sustain maximum velocity over longer distances, so sprinting over distances from 60 to 120 meters. I've found that variable runs, ins and outs as they're also called, sprinting perhaps 30 meters flat out, relaxing for 30, while only dropping off slightly to 90%, and then hitting at 100% the final 30 is also a great way to get sprint endurance. In terms of his first jump being the best in the long jump competitions, now that's not necessarily reflexive of any endurance needs or specific training. It could be more mental. If the first jump isn't so good, for example, that can put a downer on the rest of the competition. So I suggest that it's perhaps more mental rather than physical, as if you're doing the right training, you should be able to manage 6 good jumps in a competition. The type of endurance needed for a long jump competition relies heavily on the immediate anaerobic energy system. The energy system, which supplies energy for up to about 10 seconds of sustained high output energy. Therefore, it relies not on oxygen, but on stored chemicals in the body, phosphates for example, which are burnt, fire, produce the energy, and then they need time to recover. So, training over 20-30 meters in terms of sprinting and run-ups will develop that immediate anaerobic energy system. So potentially he may be lacking a little bit there, but I probably don't think that's the case. I think, going back to what I initially said, it's more to do with how he sets his competition up, how that first jump goes. I've noticed it with my own athletes. If they don't get the first jump in, if it's a no jump for example, that can deflate them for the rest of the competition, or they can start to try too hard. If they come out with a very good jump in the first round, then conversely that can often lead them to jumping further in subsequent rounds. There's so many factors in regard to this answer here. Could be how he responds to competition. Usually you'll find that a jumper can respond to competition throughout the rounds and go further in rounds 4, 5 and 6 if they need to, if somebody surpasses their distance. So perhaps he needs to look at how he also competes as well as his physical preparation. And the second question that I'm going to consider comes from Soudeep, and he somewhat very directly asks, how can he tell what type of jumper he is? Well, in the video I did explain how you can look at your various physical qualities and how you can use these to determine the type of jumper that you are. So going back to what I said about Juan, because he slows in the final stages of 100 meters, for example, could mean that he needs to do more sprint endurance. That's going to boost his 100 meters. So if you're an out and out power type speed jumper and you haven't done the relevant sprint endurance training, then the chances are that you will start to tire after about 40 to 50 meters of sprinting. So that's one indices, one indicator of what type of jumper you are. However, if you're able to sustain multiple repetitions of 60 meters at flat out paces or near flat out with goodish recoveries, then you've perhaps got more type 2A transitional fibers and slightly more endurance in your system, in your body. If, however, you find it easy to rep out 150s 200s at 70% speed with not sufficient recoveries, or insufficient recoveries I should say, then you're potentially more of an endurance type, less powerful. Therefore you need to switch your training around to enable you to develop greater force. Now I've talked more about running fitness there, or sprint specific fitness, but you can also look at your reactivity. If you're good at standing long jumps, for example, chances are you've got a good concentric base of power. However, if you're good at hopping and bounding, then you're more elastic and you're more plyometric. So therefore you can use those indices to work out where your strengths and weaknesses are and what you need to work on. Now of course you need to then be able to decide what's important to work on. Somebody, for example, who can standing long jump over 3 meters potentially doesn't need to work specifically so much on their concentric strength to improve that ability to move their body from zero momentum. Plyometric strength, reactive strength is what's key for the long jump and the triple jump. And if you are not so good in terms of getting off the floor quickly, having stiff contacts, then that's an area that would indicate that you need to work more on those in order to develop your jumping ability. So it's more than just being able to identify what type of jumper you are. It's crucial to understand what elements of training you're strong at and those elements where you're not so strong at. By working on those and then relating those to your particular physiology and your response to training and how you jump and how you sprint, then you'll be better positioned to be able to train appropriately. Everybody has a jump type, an underpinning jump type. Some will be speed jumpers, some will be power jumpers, some will be more strength orientated. But it's the specifics of the training that you do that will produce the optimum distances regardless of your type. You just need to train specifically. Work on your strengths that are specific to increasing jump distance. Don't work on the strengths that won't do that. So if you are more endurance orientated with more type 2A fibers, then don't overdo that type of training because you don't need to do that. It's not necessary for long jump. You need speed and power. If you are a power jumper that runs out of gas after a number of rounds in the long jump, then you need to work on your specific sprint endurance for the long jump. So 30-40 meter sprints, good recovery, 8 reps. You do that regularly enough with other similar training, then you will improve the specific endurance needed for a long jump competition. There's a lot to this particular subject, and I'm trying to be as succinct as I can to give you an answer in overview, and I hope what I've said will help you in that respect. As usual, thanks for watching and good luck with any competitions that you've got coming up. Do leave any comments on this particular video or any others in the section below or through my other social media. And if you do like the t-shirts that I've been wearing in this particular video, then do check out the merchandise links below the YouTube banner.